The corner office still felt surreal to Sofia Martinez. 6 years of dedication had finally paid off, and now she stood overlooking the Seattle skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows, her reflection ghostly against the gray October sky. The promotion to senior project director had come as a surprise, especially given the fierce competition within Anderson and Reed Technologies. Her phone buzzed, another missed call from Lily Chen. Sofia's heart twinged with guilt. They'd barely spoken in weeks, unusual for two women who'd been inseparable since their days sharing crayons in second grade. She'd tried reaching out, suggesting their usual Friday wine nights, but Lily's responses had grown increasingly distant. "Your 2 p.m. is here, Amanda," her new assistant announced through the intercom. Sofia straightened her charcoal blazer and pushed thoughts of Lily aside. The merger proposal wouldn't present itself. Later that evening, as Sofia packed up her laptop, a notification lit up her screen, an invitation to Anderson and Reed's annual Halloween party. Her thumb hovered over the "accept" button when she noticed Lily's name on the guest list. Of course, Lily's consulting firm often partnered with A&R on major projects. The party was already in full swing when Sofia arrived at the converted warehouse space. String lights cast a warm glow over exposed brick walls, and the DJ's bass-heavy remix of "Thriller" vibrated through her chest. She scanned the crowd, spotting familiar faces from IT, marketing, and, there. Lily stood near the bar, elegant in a black cocktail dress, her long dark hair swept into a sophisticated updo. "Lily!" Sofia called out, weaving through the crowd. "I've been trying to reach you." Lily turned, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Sofia. Congratulations on the promotion." Something in her tone made Sofia pause. "Thanks. I've missed you. Is everything okay?" "Just busy. You know how it goes." Lily took a long sip of her martini. "Actually, my biggest project got shelved last week." "Funny timing, really." "What? Why didn't you tell me?" "What happened?" "Oh, you know corporate politics." Lily's laugh held an edge sharp enough to cut. "Sometimes great ideas just disappear. Then resurface somewhere else, under someone else's name." Sofia's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing. Nothing at all." Lily set down her empty glass with a decisive clink. "Enjoy your corner office, Sofia. You certainly earned it, one way or another." Before Sofia could respond, Lily melted into the crowd, leaving Sofia with a growing sense of dread. The music suddenly felt too loud, the lights too bright. She fumbled for her phone, pulling up her calendar from 3 months ago. There it was, lunch with Lily at their favorite sushi place. They'd discussed her consulting work, including an innovative approach to cloud security that could revolutionize. Sofia's blood ran cold as realization dawned. Her promotion project, the one that had so impressed the board, shared striking similarities with Lily's concept. But that was impossible. She'd developed it herself, spent countless nights refining the details. Hadn't she? The room began to spin. Through the haze of confusion, Sofia spotted Marcus Reynolds, her direct supervisor, chatting with the CEO. His confident smile suddenly seemed predatory, and a memory surfaced, Marcus asking pointed questions about Lily's firm during their weekly check-in, just days after that sushi lunch. Sofia's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. The truth was there, just beyond her grasp, but one thing was becoming painfully clear: her greatest professional triumph might have come at the cost of her oldest friendship. And the worst part? She wasn't entirely sure where the blame truly lay. Sleep eluded Sofia that night. Dawn found her at her kitchen table, surrounded by scattered papers and cold cups of coffee, her laptop's glow harsh in the dim morning light. She'd spent hours combing through old emails, meeting notes, anything that might explain how her project could mirror Lily's work so closely. The text from Lily arrived at 6:47 a.m., "We need to talk." Crystal Gardens. 8 a.m. The small cafe had been their sanctuary since college, where they'd shared dreams, heartbreaks, and countless plates of blueberry pancakes. Now, watching Lily approach through the window, Sophia felt like she was awaiting her own execution. Lily slid into the booth, her face drawn with exhaustion. The waitress started toward them with menus, but Lily waved her away. "I think you know why I'm here." Sophia's hands trembled around her coffee cup. "Lily, please believe me. If there's any similarity between our projects." Similarity? Lily's laugh was bitter. "Your presentation to the board last month. It wasn't just similar, Sophia. It was my work. My architecture. My security protocols. Even the implementation timeline matches what I shared with you over lunch." "That's impossible. I developed everything myself. I spent months." "Stop lying." Lily's palm hit the table, making their cups rattle. Several patrons turned to stare. When she spoke again, her voice was lower but no less intense. "I trusted you. When you asked about my work, I thought you were being supportive. I never imagined." "Asked about your work?" Sophia's confusion deepened. "Lily, the only time we discussed your project was at lunch, and I barely," she stopped, remembering Marcus's unusual interest in their conversation. "Wait. Did you share any documents with ANR directly?" "Of course. Marcus requested a detailed proposal 2 days after our lunch. Said he was impressed by what you told him about my approach." Lily's eyes narrowed. "He mentioned you'd specifically recommended me." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. "I never recommended anything to Marcus. I didn't even tell him about our lunch." "Right." Lily stood, gathering her coat. "You know what hurts the most? Not just losing the project, but watching my best friend lie to my face. 25 years of friendship, Sophia. Was the corner office worth it?" "Lily, wait." Sophia reached for her arm, but Lily jerked away. "Please. Something's wrong here. Marcus must have. Save it for the board meeting next week." Lily's voice cracked slightly. "I filed a formal complaint. They're reviewing all recent projects for intellectual property violations." Sophia sat frozen as Lily walked away, her best friend's words echoing in her head. A formal complaint. A review. Her promotion, her reputation, everything she'd worked for, it could all come crashing down. But beneath the fear, anger began to simmer. Marcus had played them both, using their friendship as a weapon. The question was, why? Her phone buzzed, a message from Amanda: "Marcus wants to see you ASAP. Says it's urgent." Sophia stared at the screen, her jaw tight. She'd trusted Marcus as a mentor, defended him when others called his methods ruthless. Now she understood what they'd meant. Her hands stopped shaking as a strange calm settled over her. Marcus wanted to see her. Perfect. It was time to get some answers. She left enough cash to cover both untouched coffees and walked out of Crystal Gardens, the place that had witnessed so many milestones in their friendship. Now it had witnessed what felt like its end. But Sophia refused to accept that. She'd find the truth, even if it cost her everything else. The morning sun cast long shadows across the sidewalk as she walked toward her car. In her mind, she was already plotting her next moves. Marcus might have orchestrated this betrayal, but he'd made one crucial mistake: he'd underestimated just how far Sophia would go to protect what mattered most. And Lily, their friendship, mattered more than any corner office ever could. Sophia sat in her parked car outside Anderson and Reed's gleaming headquarters, her hands gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. The morning's confrontation with Lily had left her raw, exposed. But beneath the pain, a quiet determination took root. She closed her eyes, remembering countless moments shared with Lily, holding each other through breakups, celebrating promotions, dancing at Lily's sister's wedding. 25 years of friendship couldn't end like this. She wouldn't let it. Her office felt different now, tainted. She noticed details she'd overlooked before, how the corner placement isolated her from her team, how the glass walls exposed her every move. A gilded cage, presented as a reward. The thought made her stomach turn. Marcus is waiting, Amanda reminded her gently. Something in her assistant's expression gave Sophia pause. Amanda, Sophia said carefully, how long have you worked with Marcus? Amanda glanced at the door, then back at Sophia. 3 years. I was Helen Roberts' assistant before she left. Helen Roberts. The name triggered a memory, another rising star at A&R who'd left abruptly last year. Sophia had always wondered about the circumstances. Would you help me access some old project files? From Helen's time. Amanda's hesitation spoke volumes. Most of those files are restricted now. But. She wrote something on a post-it note and pressed it into Sophia's palm. This might help. Be careful, Sophia. The note contained a single word, backup_HR_2023, and an internal server address. Sophia slipped it into her pocket just as Marcus's voice boomed from his office. Sophia. There you are. His smile was warm, practiced. The same smile that had welcomed her to countless mentoring sessions. We need to discuss this unfortunate situation with Lily Chen. Sophia stepped into his office, noting how he positioned himself between her and the door. Yes, we do. Starting with how you obtained her intellectual property. Marcus's smile didn't waver. That's quite an accusation. Especially from someone who just received a significant promotion. The threat was clear beneath his cordial tone. I'd hate to see your career derailed by misplaced loyalty to an envious friend. Envious? Sophia's laugh held no humor. You requested her proposal right after my lunch with her. A lunch I never mentioned to you. A flicker of something, annoyance. Concern. Crossed Marcus's face. You're upset, obviously. Take some time off. Clear your head. When you come back, we'll forget this conversation ever happened. Like Helen Roberts took time off. The change was instant. Marcus's friendly facade cracked, revealing something cold beneath. Careful, Sophia. Helen made similar accusations. Look where that got her. You've done this before. The realization hit her like a physical blow. How many others? You're a smart woman, Sophia. Think about your future. The board trusts my judgment implicitly. Who do you think they'll believe? The mentor who's guided multiple successful projects, or the ambitious protege who's clearly suffering from stress-induced paranoia? Sophia felt oddly calm as the pieces fell into place. You keep detailed records, don't you? Every conversation, every email. You're too careful not to. She took out her phone, making sure he saw her tap the screen. Just like I recorded this entire conversation. She hadn't, of course. But the flash of panic in Marcus's eyes confirmed her suspicion. He was methodical, which meant evidence existed. She just had to find it. Get out. His voice was deadly quiet. Security will escort you to clear your desk. Your services are no longer required. Sophia walked out with her head high, past Amanda's worried face, past the curious stares of her colleagues. In her pocket, the post-it note felt like it was burning against her skin. She had one chance to access those files before her credentials were revoked. The elevator ride to the parking garage gave her time to think. She'd lost her job, potentially her career. But she'd gained something more valuable, clarity. Marcus had underestimated her, just as he'd underestimated Helen Roberts and probably others before her. He thought she'd choose self-preservation over justice. He was wrong. She reached for her phone, fingers hovering over Lily's number. Not yet. First, she needed proof. Helen Roberts had tried to fight alone and failed. Sophia wouldn't make the same mistake. She had to be smarter, more strategic. The backup server would be her starting point. Then she'd find Helen Roberts. If Marcus had a pattern, she'd uncover it. And this time, he wouldn't be able to bury the truth. As she drove home, rain began to fall, blurring the city lights. Somewhere out there, Lily was hurting, believing her best friend had betrayed her. The pain of that knowledge was almost unbearable. But Sophia would make it right, even if she had to tear Anderson and Reed apart to do it. The gentle hum of Sophia's laptop filled her darkened apartment as lines of code scrolled across the screen. Amanda's server address had led her to a treasure trove of archived files, each one a piece of a puzzle she was only beginning to understand. Her eyes burned from hours of reading, but she couldn't stop. Not when each document revealed more of Marcus's carefully orchestrated pattern of theft and manipulation. Helen Roberts's case had been nearly identical. A promising project lead, a sudden departure, whispered rumors of mental health issues. The documentation was meticulous: emails, meeting notes, project specifications. All bearing Marcus's digital fingerprints, though carefully obscured. Sophia's phone buzzed. A text from Lily: "The board meets tomorrow. Last chance to come clean." The words blurred as tears welled in her eyes. She thought of their last real conversation, before everything unraveled. They'd been planning a trip to Vancouver for Lily's birthday. Now that future felt like a dream from another life. A knock at her door made her jump. Through the peephole, she saw Amanda, clutching her purse nervously. "I shouldn't be here," Amanda said as Sophia let her in. "But I couldn't. I was there when Helen left." The things Marcus said about her afterward. She twisted her hands together. "I should have spoken up then." Sophia guided her to the couch. "Tell me everything." The story emerged slowly. Helen hadn't been the first. There was a pattern stretching back years: brilliant women with innovative ideas, all destroyed by carefully crafted accusations of instability or incompetence. Marcus collected their work like trophies, using each success to build his reputation as a mentor and innovator. "He keeps physical copies," Amanda whispered. "In a locked cabinet in his office. Helen tried to access them the day she left. That's when he..." She trailed off, hands shaking. "When he what?" "Called security. Said she was having a breakdown. They had to escort her out." Amanda's voice cracked. "The next day, he had me clear her desk. There was a photo of her kids. I still remember their smiles." Sophia felt a chill. She'd walked past that cabinet countless times during their mentoring sessions. Had she sensed something wrong, even then? Or had she been too dazzled by Marcus's charm, too eager for his approval? "The board meeting tomorrow," Amanda continued. "He's going to paint you the same way. Unstable. Paranoid. Ungrateful. He's already started spreading rumors." Sophia stood, pacing the length of her living room. Through her window, she could see the lights of Anderson and Reed's building glowing in the distance. Somewhere in that tower, Marcus sat in his office, probably rehearsing the performance that would destroy her career. "We need those files," she said finally. Amanda's eyes widened. "Security's been doubled since Helen. And your access card was deactivated, I know." Sophia turned to face her. "But yours wasn't." The silence stretched between them. Amanda's fear was palpable, but there was something else in her expression, a spark of determination. "Helen had kids," Amanda said quietly. "A family depending on her. When Marcus finished with her, she couldn't even get consulting work. Her reputation. She straightened her shoulders. What do you need me to do? Sophia pulled up the building's security layout on her laptop. We have 8 hours before the board meeting. Marcus usually arrives by 7. That gives us a window between 5 and 6:30 a.m. The cleaning crew comes in at 5, Amanda added. The security desk is quieter then. They spent the next hour planning, going over every detail. It was risky. If they were caught, they'd both face worse than unemployment. But sitting there in her darkened apartment, Sophia felt a strange sense of peace. For the first time since this nightmare began, she was fighting back. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Lily, I trusted you. Sophia closed her eyes, letting the pain wash over her. Yes, Lily had trusted her. Just like Helen had trusted Marcus. Just like countless others who'd seen their dreams shattered by his calculated cruelty. No more, she whispered. Tomorrow, one way or another, the truth would come out. She only hoped that when it did, she'd have a best friend left to share it with. Dawn painted the sky in shades of pearl and gold as Sophia waited in her car, watching Anderson and Reed's service entrance. Her hands were steady now, the trembling replaced by a quiet resolve. Beside her, Amanda checked her phone one last time. The cleaning crew just badged in, Amanda whispered. 4th floor is clear. They'd chosen their moment carefully. The security cameras would show nothing unusual, just Amanda arriving early, as she often did when Marcus had important meetings. The weight of the empty file folder in Sophia's bag felt like a promise. The service elevator carried them silently upward. In the dim light, Sophia noticed the shadows under Amanda's eyes, the way she twisted her wedding ring, a nervous habit she shared with Helen Roberts. How many others had stood here, hearts racing, careers hanging by a thread? I keep thinking about my first week here, Amanda said softly as they reached the 4th floor. How Marcus seemed so kind, so protective. He brought me coffee, asked about my family. I thought. She swallowed hard. I thought I was lucky to work for someone who cared. Sophia touched her arm gently. That's how he operates. Making people feel special, needed. Until suddenly they're trapped. The office floor was eerily quiet, their footsteps muffled by industrial carpet. Through the windows, city lights still twinkled against the pre-dawn sky. They passed Sophia's former office, already cleared, her name removed from the door. The sight didn't hurt as much as she'd expected. Marcus's office stood like a fortress at the end of the hall. Amanda's hands shook slightly as she inserted her key. We have 20 minutes before the early IT crew arrives. The filing cabinet looked innocent enough, bland gray metal, like dozens of others throughout the building. But when Amanda pulled it open, Sophia's breath caught. Folders upon folders, each labeled with a woman's name. Some she recognized. Others. There are so many, Amanda whispered. Sophia began photographing everything, her phone's camera clicking softly in the silence. Each image felt like an act of reclamation, returning stolen voices to their rightful owners. Helen Roberts. Maria Vasquez. Diane Chen, Lily's cousin. The connection hit Sophia like a physical blow. A sound in the hallway made them freeze. Footsteps, growing closer. Hide, Amanda mouthed, moving toward the door. I'll stall them. Sophia slid behind a tall filing cabinet just as the door opened. Through the narrow gap, she saw Marcus's silhouette. Amanda. His voice held that familiar warmth. You're here early. Just preparing for the board meeting, sir. Amanda's voice was steady, betraying nothing of her terror. The presentation materials. Dedicated as always. A pause. Have you heard from Sophia? No, sir. Not since yesterday. Sophia held her breath, pressing herself against the wall. Her phone felt like it was burning in her pocket, filled with evidence of years of calculated destruction. "Shame about her breakdown," Marcus said softly. "I tried to help her, you know. Just like I've helped you. Your daughter's college fund, that was a considerable investment in your future." The threat hung in the air, wrapped in concern. Sophia's heart ached for Amanda, understanding now how Marcus wove his webs, kindness and fear, support and surveillance, until loyalty became a prison. "I should finish the preparations," Amanda said quietly. "Of course." His footsteps moved away, then paused. "Oh, and Amanda. Let me know if you hear from Sophia. I'd hate for her to do something unfortunate before the board meeting." The door clicked shut. Sophia counted to 30 before emerging. Amanda stood by the desk, her face pale but determined. "He knows," she whispered. Sophia squeezed her hand. "No. He suspects. There's a difference." She pulled out her phone, checking the photos. Dozens of them, documenting years of systematic abuse of power. "We have what we need. The board meeting won't go the way he expects." Sophia's voice was firm. "Call Helen Roberts. Tell her to bring anyone else who's willing to speak. It's time they heard all our voices." They relocked the cabinet and slipped out, passing the arriving IT crew with practiced normalcy. In the elevator, Amanda finally spoke. "My daughter's college fund, he really did help with that. I don't know how I'll. We'll figure it out," Sophia promised. "Together." That's what he never understood. He thought keeping us isolated made us weak. But when we stand together. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, now filling with early arrivals. In 3 hours, the board would convene. Marcus would arrive with his carefully crafted narrative of Sophia's instability. But this time, the story wouldn't end the way he planned. Sophia's phone buzzed, another message from Lily. She opened it, hope and fear warring in her chest. "Found something you need to see. My office. Now." Sophia looked at Amanda, who nodded. "Go. I'll start making calls." The morning sun was fully risen now, turning the city's glass towers to gold. As Sophia drove toward Lily's office, she felt the weight of all those stolen dreams, all those silenced voices. Today, they would finally be heard. Lily's office felt smaller than Sophia remembered, or perhaps it was the weight of everything between them that made the space feel confined. Lily sat behind her desk, a familiar manila folder open before her. The morning light caught the silver threads in her dark hair. When had those appeared? "I found this last night," Lily said quietly, pushing the folder forward. "After I couldn't sleep, I started going through old files. Looking for, I don't know. Answers, maybe." Sophia approached carefully, like one might a wounded friend. The folder contained emails between Marcus and Diane Chen, Lily's cousin, dated 3 years ago. The pattern was painfully familiar: mentorship offered, trust cultivated, then betrayal wrapped in concern for her mental health. "Diane never told me," Lily whispered. "She just disappeared. Moved to Toronto. Stopped coming to family gatherings. Mom said she was having difficulties." Her voice cracked. "I should have known something was wrong. Should have asked more questions." Sophia's heart ached. "We all should have. That's how he survived, keeping us isolated, making us doubt ourselves and each other." The boardroom was already full when they arrived at Anderson and Reed. Helen Roberts stood near the window, her presence commanding despite 3 years of absence. Around her gathered other women, faces Sophia recognized from Marcus's files, each carrying their own story of betrayal and resilience. Marcus's confident smile faltered when he saw them. "This is a closed meeting." "About intellectual property theft," Sophia interrupted, her voice steady. I'd say these women are extremely relevant to that discussion. The next 2 hours unfolded like a revelation. One by one, they shared their stories. Helen Roberts, describing how Marcus's concerns about her mental health coincided with her breakthrough software design. Maria Vasquez, whose innovative security protocol appeared in Marcus's presentation 2 weeks after he suggested she take medical leave. Diane Chen, whose career imploded when she questioned the similarity between her work and his latest patent. Amanda presented the photographs, her hands no longer shaking. These files document a pattern spanning 8 years. Each case following the same template: manipulation, gaslighting, theft, and character assassination. Marcus tried to interrupt, his practice charm crumbling. These women clearly share some concerning paranoid tendencies. Like the tendency to keep records. Lily stepped forward, her professional demeanor masking raw anger. To notice when our work is stolen. To recognize abuse of power when we see it. The board's questions were pointed, relentless. With each answer, Marcus's facade cracked further, revealing the predator beneath. By noon, security was escorting him out, his access revoked, an investigation pending. In the aftermath, Sophia found Lily in the building's courtyard, sitting by the fountain where they'd shared countless lunch breaks. I found Helen Roberts's daughter's college fund, Sophia said softly, sitting beside her. And Amanda's. Different accounts, but the same source. He used company funds, disguised as performance bonuses. Kept the documentation as insurance. Making himself look generous while buying silence. Lily's laugh held no humor. And Diane? What about her lost years? The board's reviewing all patents and projects from the past decade. Any stolen intellectual property will be credited to its rightful creators. It's not enough, but it's a start. Lily turned, really looking at Sophia for the first time in weeks. I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't. Sophia took her hand. He counted on that doubt. On our fear and isolation. On shame keeping us quiet. They sat in silence, watching leaves dance across the water. Finally, Lily spoke again. Vancouver. What? My birthday trip. You still owe me Vancouver. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Later, in her apartment, Sophia found an old photo, she and Lily at their college graduation, young and fearless. She placed it beside a new one taken that afternoon, the group of women from the board meeting, their faces tired but triumphant. Different images of strength, of survival, of solidarity. Her phone buzzed with messages from Helen, Amanda, and others, planning next steps. There would be legal battles ahead, careers to rebuild, trust to repair. But looking at those photos, past and present, individual and collective, Sophia felt something she hadn't expected: peace. Marcus had tried to turn their pain into power over them. Instead, they'd transformed it into something he could never understand, a bond stronger than fear, a truth more powerful than manipulation, a healing that began with 2 simple words: I believe you. The autumn sun set behind the Seattle skyline, painting the clouds in shades of hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new battles, new opportunities for growth. But tonight, Sophia knew with bone-deep certainty, none of them would face those challenges alone. Not anymore.